Tonight, Victoria Cross recipient Ben Roberts-Smith charged with 5 war crime murders. As we go to air, Australia's most decorated soldier is in handcuffs, in custody.
Okay, so Ben Roberts-Smith just got arrested for alleged war crimes.
Australia's most decorated living soldier has spent his first night behind bars.
He's in solitary confinement in maximum security because he's there next to the very kinds of terrorists that he was sent to fight against in the Middle East.
Today, Australia should hang its head in shame. It's just disgusting. I can't believe this is happening in our country.
Today is a day to rally behind the ADF and be mindful of the families whose loved ones have died while serving our country.
The Australian government spent money, taxpayer money, to train this guy to be a human weapon, to go and kill people on behalf of the government. He's in the SAS. That's what they do. They make problems go away. So he goes off and does that, and then you've got people over here, people who've been sitting behind desks their whole life, who've never even been in a punch-up or even sparred in a boxing gym or anything, saying that they know how to discuss or understand what it's like to be in a war zone.
I see Ben Roberts-Smith as a highly decorated war hero, and he always will be that to me. I highly respect that man and what he's done. I have veterans that have come back with PTSD and other concerns and issues. We've got homeless veterans out there, but we don't put that much effort into looking after them. You know, I think it's disgraceful. And I know for a fact that former and current serving SAS personnel are fully behind Ben Roberts-Smith, as are many other hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Australians, and they see him as a hero. I think the way that he's been treated is disgraceful, the way he was arrested on that plane in front of his 2 children, which could have been done a lot better than that. So I will keep standing by Ben Roberts-Smith, and I hope he's watching this. Ben, the Australian people are behind you. They think highly of you, and so does your family and your mum and dad, and I've spoken to them and they just love you to death. So never forget that, mate.
60 Minutes.
The battle to defeat the enemy is obviously paramount. But there's something equally important arising from his multiple deployments to Afghanistan. Arising.
I support Ben Roberts-Smith, and he's given a raw deal, so I think it's important to support those ones. They need the support.
Can I tell you a quick story about Ben?
Yeah, please.
So, and I don't really talk too much about this, but it's just something that probably a story that actually has gone untold. But the night of the 29th of August 2012, I was overseas in Afghanistan, and an inside Taliban fighter reworked his way into the Afghan National Army and posed as a soldier there, so he was an enemy fighter. Anyway, my mates were going to sleep one night and playing cards. He turned around and shot and killed 3 of them. Private Pote, Sapper Martin, and Lance Corporal Milosevic on the one night. So he was an insurgent from with the Taliban, joined the Afghan army,
right? And
we called it a green on blue, and it was happening all the time over there. The first team they flew out was RS and his mates, so it was a team of 4. And so RS got there, he jumped, and this is one of my mates has told this on the podcast when I had him on. He got into the small base and he walked in there and he just took control of the scene. And you imagine it's a pretty bad scene, right? There's probably 15 guys there, 3 are dead, 2 others are shot. They're loading our dead brothers onto the chopper. The guy that shot our guys got away, and they said he ran that way. Ben Roberts-Smith turns to his team and goes, "Guys, stay here. Control the scene." He jumped the fence, ran into an Afghan village full of Taliban soldiers at night by himself, trying to find this guy. Imagine going into a war zone by yourself.
Yeah.
Trust me, you don't go outside the wire without your full force of your team.
Yeah.
And he ran by himself. I'm like, man, that guy's got my respect for life.
Yeah.
For life.
Yeah.
And it's just terrible what they've done to him.
This is about war crimes. This is about anyone who was seen executing prisoners or shooting at random civilians. And first of all, every single person we killed over there was a civilian. Every single person. The Taliban weren't a formed body, a formed army.
Well, exactly right, yeah.
So these are civilians that we're fighting every single day. So when they say in the media, Ben Robert Smith was killing civilians, yeah, we all were. You were too, Matty. Like, they were civilians. That's the term for someone who's not in an army that's fighting you. You could jazz it up and say an armed militia or whatever you want to frame it as, but they were just civilians. If you're angry at what we did in Afghanistan, be angry at the army. Be angry at the officers. Be angry at the politicians. I was there in Afghanistan with Kevin Rudd.
Yep.
I've worked with Malcolm Turnbull. I've briefed Malcolm Turnbull into capabilities. I've done PT at work with Tony Abbott, and I don't respect many of them. I pretended that I liked them when they shook my hand and patted me on the back, and we pretended like we cared. They are morons. It's their fault. They signed off on the policy. And that comes from the commanders, the dudes with pips on their shoulders, the politicians, the Minister for Defence. For 20 years, it was Labor and Liberal. It was a mix. It wasn't just one government. So if you're angry at RS and you're celebrating right now because he's in jail, think about what they told us to do and why they did that. And if you're unhappy with that, then direct your hate towards the real enemy, which is the politicians, the ministers.
100%.
Yeah.
The government.
Yeah.
Weak governments led to Bondi. Plain and simple.
Yep. I agree. The media, Channel 9, ABC, the people that want to see Ben burn, clearly they've got bias towards putting him away if he's suing Channel 9. The left's argument and the journalist's argument and everyone's argument online against RS is, yeah, but his own teammates said that he did it. So why don't we talk about these teammates?
Okay.
If you look at the court transcripts, it's all available in federal court. If you want to look at it, it's all there. Ben's enemies. Let's start with person one. Person one, clearly one of the most reliable witnesses to given such an glorious title in the defamation case when there was hundreds of witnesses. Person one was removed from the troop, and this is a common story throughout all of these people that we're about to name, was removed from the troop. He almost got the patrol killed. A spotter comes walking along an ambush, I think it was 2007. They're up in the high ground. They're in an OP. Old mate Taliban comes walking straight across the front of the OP. Person one doesn't fire. And then that leads the vulnerability to the rear and side flank because old mate didn't pull the trigger on him and do his job. He put the patrol at risk. So Matt Locke, the then, I think they call it a patrol commander, PC.
Yep, PC.
He had to go and climb a cliff with RS. RS on me, climb this cliff. We're going to kill this. They killed the, and Matt Locke got a Medal of Gallantry for that action. He was, if you look at the photos of Matt Locke getting his MG, he's not happy about it. He's got a look on his face like, I shouldn't be getting this if person one had done his job. Person one admitted during cross-examination he was a shit soldier. Ben used to slap him over the back of the head and bully him because he was shit. Matt Locke, after their deployment, threatened to throw him through the window of the pub. Everyone knows this in Perth. These stories came out in the trial. You can check for yourself. There's your best witness. There's your best witness. When Ben Robert Smith assaulted Tizak, one team on the right flank with Hamish is pinned down. And their patrol commander can't do anything. He's on the radar. Boys, like, I want to fucking assault forward, but I can't do anything. We're going to die if we stand up. We're in a dry creek bed. Another team in the middle, that fella, absolute weapon. He was British SAS. He decided when the rounds were going, something needed to be done. He said, righto, boys, on me. He stepped over a small mud wall and started moving forward. RS went to the left of a compound. He went to the right. He got a Star of Gallantry. RS got a Victoria Cross. And person number 7 was at the back. He's the team leader of the rear team facing the rear. And he said, boys, I'll just stay here and face the rear. And in federal court, he said, this is one of the main witnesses. This is the dude that went on 60 Minutes and broke OPSEC, ruined everything for the SS, destroyed their reputation just to get RS. Person 7 said in the trial, and I know it word for word because someone turned it into a dance music EDM track and it's basically all the boys' ringtones. He said, Mr. Moses, Ben's lawyer, during cross-examination, I was not brave enough to do what Ben did. I was not brave enough. Ben's biggest hater said he didn't have the spine to stand up and assault forward and help Ben's team out when they went forward and went up the middle of the road in Tizak. They killed 100 people that day. You know how many people they killed at the back? Nothing. They were Cowards, essentially. Like, what do you, like, he said it himself. I wasn't brave enough to do it. I didn't do it. Then years later, 2012, they went to TZAC again, and person 7 was measuring out distances where and trying to disprove on the job, on the ground, RS's citation. That's how much he hates him. Instead of pulling security, instead of doing the job that they're there to do, he was pacing out between machine gun positions that Ben had assaulted, knowing the route that he took all the way up the main street to the mosque. He admitted it in the trial. He was pacing it out, and he's like, well, I paced it out. It wasn't 50 meters he ran through open ground. It was 42. Really, brother? Do you want to go back to Gallipoli and criticize Albert Jacka's well, Trench 1 was actually 10 meters. It wasn't 8 meters away. Are you going to criticize his VC? That's a dog move. And you're the dude that went on 60 Minutes. You're one of those blacked out dudes on 60 Minutes. Then you got person 4. So when Ben assaulted the village of TZAC, there was one dude behind him, and that was person 4. And person 4's gripe with Ben about this whole situation, maybe not with Ben, but with the honours and awards system, is that he should have got a Victoria Cross as well. Now, when Albert Jacka went over the trenches in Gallipoli and started bayoneting a whole bunch of Turkish soldiers, stealing their kebabs, it kept going. He had dudes follow him, yeah? Well, he was the first dude over the trenches.
Yep.
The dude behind him didn't get a VC. Why do you think that is, Matty? He wasn't the first one there. You don't get a VC for being second. It's very rare that 2 dudes would get a VC in the same contact, because it's about the one dude that basically was willing to lay down his life in front of everyone else, and he is entitled to the VC for that. So person 4, who it looks like alleges some of the most serious crimes against Ben, he believes that he's entitled to a VC. So think about what I'm saying now. All these people, all these witnesses, these are the star witnesses. If you were to show me the last 5 years they were reported on at that period in the global war on terror when we were all in Afghanistan, show me their performance reports before any of these allegations came out. It basically says they're all absolutely and they were removed from the job that they dreamed of doing. And there's so many people listening to this potty that want to be SAS, that want to be a commando. The thing is that people can understand how much effort it takes to be an SAS operator, how much it takes to earn a Sandy Beret or a Green Beret. So to then be called a coward and removed from that troop, so people say, well, the witnesses have nothing to gain by bringing these allegations forward. Do you think that they feel good about the fact that they were removed from their dream job, career over, called a coward, and off to a grey roll squadron during the middle of the global war on terror? Personally, I'd be ropeable. I'd want to get back at RS. I would do anything I could when the chance arose, whether it's 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, to get back at him. They're angry. They're ropeable. Ben them off, called them cowards, threatened to throw one of them out a window at a pub through a glass window. They hate each other. A lot of the witnesses, there are some witnesses from Afghanistan. Let's say Darwan, for example. The one dude that saw something happen came out in the trial. He's 90 years old. He admits that he can't even see his own dick. His eyes are that bad. Yet he saw Ben kick someone off a cliff 300 meters away. I was there a couple months later. I was out there. There's no cliff. It was just a small hill. I was sat right next to it. Some of these Afghan witnesses, I don't think this has been reported yet. They're here in Australia. Our government flew them back. I know one of them lives in Adelaide. People that are involved in Ben's trial live here in Australia now. Have they benefited off this whole situation?
We're going to make one phone call to a long-time listener, a long-time friend, obviously linked with BRS. Matthew Locker was killed in action, and we're going to call his son, Keegan. Let's give Keegs a call. Obviously, you go way back with BRS, more specifically with your old boy, mate.
Yep.
All we want to do is just get a bit of the background on your dealings with BRS.
Yeah, man. So obviously, I can't speak to him as a soldier. Besides what my old man or the other boys have said about him, which is only good stuff anyway. But I can speak about him as a man, and I got nothing but good things to say about him as a man. Like we had when my old man got shot He was one of the dudes that was sort of first around the house. He was around the house for a long time. He was always there. He used to come to all my rugby games when he was back. Man, the dude used to volunteer his own time at Christmas and come down to legacy camps. We're talking 116 kids, none of which are his own leave period. He's looking after these kids that have all lost their dads. But yeah, like I said, man, like this witch hunt, I guess, has painted him out to be this subhuman scumbag. But he is honestly one of the best blokes I've ever met in my entire life. And I've got nothing but good things to say about RS. Mate, he messaged me last week checking on me. You know what I mean? Who's messaging their best mate's son, who's 30 years old now, still to this day, checking in on him. So, that's what I've got to say about him as a man. Like, I guarantee if you asked around, man, for stories about Ben Roberts-Smith at legacy camps, when other people were growing up, there'd be nothing but good things to say about how he was as a person, how he carried himself as a professional human, not just as a soldier. Between tours, between courses, how busy those guys get.
Yeah.
He's in there in January on his leave in the middle of summer in Perth. Instead of hanging out with his own missus and his own family, he's down there with sacrificing his time to hang out with these kids, not just SAS. We're talking Army, Air Force, Navy, Fireys, Coppers, all these kids, man. And he's out there putting it in for us. And he's just shows what type of Australian he is.